Jared Stillman is an afternoon host at 102.5 The Game in Nashville, so he covered Mike during those times. And I ran into Jared today on the street walking to the convention center and said, we got to get this guy on, so we have him on. Jared joining us now in the Raising Cane's guest chair. How you doing, Jared?
I love it. I see the flagship station for the New England Patriots. I'm like, yeah, they're not going to be very happy. Now, I know this show doesn't do that kind of stuff, but the traditional flagship, not going to be very happy to come talk about the coach that everybody loves here and bash him.
And listen, we need that
balance.
side of it.
We believe in balance.
Yeah, it takes that free speech and balance, Jared. We want all opinions aired.
Well, here's what's been driving me crazy. Since I've been here, every guest I've had on, it's like whether it's Mad Dog or whether it's Rich Gannon or whomever, they're all like, I can't believe they fired Mike Vrabel. I mean, the fact that the Tennessee Titans would fire the great Mike Vrabel. I'm like, the great Mike Vrabel? Like, they lost 7 games in a row in 2022 to end the season. They were 7-3 and finished 7-10. The great Mike Vrabel? The great Mike Vrabel? Really? The great Mike Vrabel that inherited a playoff team when he got the job? And they didn't make the playoffs that first year? That guy?
So, I know the answer to the question, but you think he's overrated.
I think Vrabel's a good coach.
But overrated.
Yes, because you people, and not you people, but you people.
You people.
You're treating him like a god. Like, oh, yes, all of our prayers have been answered. We're bringing in Ryan Cowden. Vrabel's going to run this Elliott Wolf out of there. That is Bobby Greer 2.0. Vrabel is going to run his ass out there faster than Bill ran Bobby Greer out. And it's going to be Vrabel and Cowden. And Vrabel's going to pick the players. Cowden is a total yes man to Vrabel. And Vrabel has no experience doing this. He's never been a scout. He's never been a personnel director. He's never evaluated college talent. The one year that they gave him like semi-command of the roster, they took a guard with the 11th overall pick. Not only did they take a guard with the 11th overall pick, they took a guard who sucks. And not only does he suck, he had never played guard before they took him. He was the tackle out of Northwestern. They didn't have a left tackle. They take the tackle out of Northwestern. And all the draft gurus are like, well, his arm length says he's really a guard.
Short arm.
So I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's play him at tackle. And if he can't play tackle, let's put him at guard. Nope. Vrabel's putting him at guard. But Vrabel, because he's like Bill, when they drafted him, Vrabel holds a press conference and says, we're going to play him at offensive line. Huh? We're going to play him at offensive line. Never played him a snap at tackle. And so congratulations on the Patriots. They'll use the 4th overall pick on a guard.
Well, they'll fit in because they've been doing this kind of crap. They did it just last year.
What I tell you, the good news about Vrabel, he's like Bill. The bad news, it's like Bill.
Jared Stillman again, 102.5 The Game in Nashville. You said in that clip that Mike Vrabel had no clue how to, build an offensive line or coach an offensive line. He better hope Dante Scarnecchia comes out of retirement. Well, wouldn't you know? They hired Doug Marrone, who, longtime offensive line coach, former head coach, like a pretty prominent guy for that spot, I would say. Prominent name. And Dante Scarnecchia is rumored to be kind of back involved. Not full-time, but he's going to be in the building and consulting at least. So is it possible Mike knows what he doesn't know and is really beefed up at that spot because it's a weak spot for him?
So when I started to see that, we were keeping a very close eye on the Patriot coaching hires because Vrabel's assistant coaches were probably the downfall. Like, he hired some real freaking bozos. Like, the special teams coach was a joke. The 2 coordinators after Arthur Smith, it was a train wreck. And so we were watching, like, is Vrabel just going to bring the whole Titan crew with him? Like, I don't know if you know this, but like Calipari left Kentucky, brought the whole team and everybody to Arkansas, and they all stink. So, like, I'm like, is Vrabel going to do the same thing? Because Vrabel's very much like, my coaches, my way, my guys, I know. And so when I saw Josh McDaniels OC, I'm like, okay, that's a real coordinator. When I saw that he wasn't bringing Craig Aukerman as the special teams coach, and he was keeping the guy, I'm like, that's a real coach maybe. Like, that might be good. And then I saw Jason Hodeling as the assistant offensive line coach. This freaking guy was the 3rd assistant on a horrible offensive line coaching. The owner made Vrabel fire the offensive line coach. Vrabel goes out on this search 2 years ago in Phoenix at the Super Bowl. I was waiting on that stupid opening night. I cannot believe I wasted my time going to this, to talk to Matt Nagy, because there were rumors that the Titans might hire Matt Nagy to be OC. The next day, Vrabel promotes his buddy from the Texans to be OC, and he promotes the 3rd offensive line assistant to be offensive line coach. The guy's never coached in the NFL before. He was the head coach at Colgate.
And this is this guy, the hodling?
Yes. Vrabel made him the line coach. And they drafted a guard with the first pick. And Vrabel the entire year was just getting hammered for this. And so I see Doug Marrone gets hired. And to your point, I'm like, hey, that's like a real name. That's a assistant offensive line coach. Jason Hodling. Todd Downing, whom Vrabel fired because the owner made him after the 2022 season, and he got a DUI coming back from Thursday Night Football at Lambeau Field. Wide receivers coach of the Green Bay Packers. Here's what Vrabel has done. I am convinced of it. Vrabel...
Wide receivers coach of the Patriots.
Yes, of the Patriots. Yeah. Excuse me. Vrabel probably went to Robert Kraft, and Robert Kraft was probably like, Mike, I really want Josh McDaniels to be the offensive coordinator. And Vrabel probably said, okay. And, like, smoked a Marlboro and was like, but I want my guys watching him. So Kraft's going to pay for real assistant I actually wondered if maybe, like, the Titans wouldn't pay for real assistant coaches because they wouldn't pay A.J. Brown. So maybe that's – but I'm guessing that Vrabel's guys, Downing and Hodling and – although I do like Tony Du's the running backs coach, I think they're probably there just to keep an eye.
Well, I think it's a hodgepodge and arranged marriage and asking for trouble to have the owner hire the offensive coordinator, but the head coach hired the staff underneath him. That does not feel functional to me.
And the thing about Vrabel is this. If in order to get the job, if Vrabel were to want this job, and he said, you know what, I got to work with Tony, Mazz, and Murray, but, like, fine, I'll do it. But I'm telling you right now, start renting because Vrabel's running you guys out of there. Like, it's not going to take long. It's Vrabel's way, and it's always going to be that way. That's like I got asked, like, should Vrabel have been fired? Like, did I agree with fire? I would have fired Vrabel. Now, I would have cleaned house and gotten rid of the terrible general manager who they already just fired too. But my thing was the toothpaste was out of the tube. They had given Vrabel too much power, and Vrabel, you cannot take power back. So when I listened to the Vrabel press conference when he got hired, I mean, I was sitting there with bated breath. Like, I had a pad in front of me. I was like, all right, let's see what Mike Vrabel's going to say here. We have a language called Vrabelese on the program. Like, you guys probably aren't there yet, but a year and a half into this, you'll be like, remember when that fat guy in Nashville told us about Vrabelese? So there's things that he says because he can't help himself. He can't sometimes not be passive-aggressive. Like, it's just in him, like, just to be that, even though he sometimes should just take the high road and just... And when he was asked about who has final say between him and Elliott Wolf, he said, we're going to have a shared vision. I laughed out loud. I said, yes, we're going to share my vision. Is exactly what that was in Vrabelese. And so, look, I mean, here's what I love about this. This is why I want John Robinson, who I actually think is probably better at the old general manager with Vrabel. Yeah. I think he's probably a better GM than Vrabel is a coach. But what I really, I want him to get a GM job, and I'm glad Vrabel has this job with a terrible team right now because I want to see the scoreboard. Like, somebody's going to be right about this. Somebody's going to be wrong. We have no idea now, but at some point, we will know who was right and who was wrong. And if Vrabel goes and wins a Super Bowl with the Patriots, I'll say I was wrong, and Vrabel can smack me on the tush if it makes him feel better. I don't know.
Jared Stillman, 102.5 The Game in Nashville. He's on the air 2 to 6. Meaning now.
Yes.
So how'd you pull this off?
So you know what he's doing?
We're running the stream live right now on 102.5 The Game.
Mazz and Murray, we are live in Nashville right now as we speak.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you're allowed to do that, but we're going to just put that to the side. Yeah. We are now live in Nashville, speaking to the people of Nashville.
I thought you were going to say you recorded a segment.
Well, that's what I thought when we were texting earlier.
He's just taking the feed.
I mean, hey, I felt like it was a kill two birds with one stone kind of thing.
Oh, I love it.
Plus, at the same time.
This is why I'm mentioning it towards the end so no one pulls the. Well, if they pull the plug, we've already got.
Well, you know what? I'm glad he mentioned this because I'm going to go do Stephen A. show.
Yeah. Jared, so knowing what you know of Vrabel,
sure,
and if he is in charge, how do you think the draft goes? Do you see a guy that sounds like a Vrabel kind of guy? And Tennessee's sitting at 1.
Sure.
You're not going to do the quarterback. So, I mean, you should know the top 5. Like, break that, handicap that for me, knowing what you know about Vrabel.
Oh, my God. This Will Campbell, he's a tackle at LSU. He's apparently a big old fatty, and they think he might have to kick into guard, and that's just perfect for Mike Vrabel because he loves the tackles that can't play tackle. I mean, that Peter Skoronski thing, I mean, I remember when they drafted him. And they had the softest left tackle in the league in Andre Dillard, who was a bust in Philly, and they brought him in here. Vrabel's one of those coaches. Mazz, I bet you've seen this in baseball a lot. That was like a top prospect somewhere else. Guy cannot adjust in the major leagues, but there's some hitting coach or some manager that's like,
can fix him.
I can coach him. Let me tell you right now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I watched him hit a ball 450 feet out there at spring training. Well, I'm telling you, I can coach him. Vrabel will look at one of these tackles, and because the Patriots' offensive line is as bad as the Titans, and so they got to draft an offensive lineman. They'll take the Campbell kid out of LSU or the Banks kid out of Texas, and Vrabel will say, I can coach him. And maybe he can, but with the Titans, he couldn't.
Will Campbell.
Yo, great. I still think it's going to be the defensive lineman you said.
Yeah.
The kid from Michigan.
I feel if Vrabel's really running the show, something, and you know his drafting history better than I do for sure. But I just feel like he would, in his mind, I'm not going to reach, because Will Campbell shouldn't be a top 5 pick. And he said, if I'm going to reach for anything, it's going to be this defensive lineman out of Michigan, Big Ten defensive lineman. I'm going to build from the middle out, the defensive line out. They have Christian Barmore inside. So you pair, and I forgot the Mason Graham. You pair Mason Graham with Christian Barmore, and we're going to build from the inside out on defense. And I can just sort of picture him doing that sort of thing. But, who the hell knows?
Do you think the Patriots could trade,
yes, I think they would
this
want
year's
to.
one and next year's one to get the one and take Carter?
Oh, no. No. I thought you were going to say,
because they already have the quarterback. So it's not like they'd be giving up the quarterback in next year's class by trading next year's one.
Is Abdul Carter worth that?
I mean, everybody that I've talked to here says all these players stink. That this draft class stinks, that these quarterbacks stink, that it's just awful.
Exactly. So I wouldn't be traded. I doubt they're not a trade-up kind of team like that.
So they're a trade-down team?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Everybody in Nashville's like, trade the pick, trade the pick, trade the pick. I'm like, the other teams have to have a guy that they want to trade the pick. If Joe Burrow was there, teams would offer you 8 number ones and you wouldn't take it. But because it's Cam Ward, nobody wants it. And so everybody apparently wants to trade back.
Okay. What else? What else should we know about Vrabel before we let you go? Give me one more. I'm not even sure what to ask you, but
were people pissed when he was how do people feel about you and the way you talk about him?
I was going to say, how do you play in Nashville?
So it ebbs and flows when the team is good, and I find things to complain about. It's, you're a hater, or, that you just don't get access. That's why they treat you that way. You just are a miserable person. When they're bad, it's way to go, man. Way to hold them accountable. Way to tell them what's what. And with Vrabel, it was definitely like, because Vrabel and I like Vrabel. I mean, I'm not sure Vrabel likes me, but I like Vrabel. And
do you have any interactions with him? Would you show up and ask questions in a press conference?
Vrabel and I live in the same neighborhood. And so it was.
Did you see him at the coffee shop?
Oh, yeah. Literally at the coffee shop. There was Seth Wickersham, like one of those big pieces about the Commanders a couple years ago. And I'm sitting down at this Jewish delicatessen I love so much called Nashville. My bagel and schmear. And I'm just reading this freaking bomb about Dan Snyder. And I'm not paying attention to what's going on in the booth next to me. And so I'm just sitting there minding my own business. I look up, Vrabel's getting up out of the thing. We look at each other, make that awkward eye contact, oh, hey. So non-working hours here that we're kind of seeing each other. It's oh, hey. He's hey, yeah, you like this place? Yeah, I like this place. It's yeah, okay, good. It was hey, yeah, good to see you, whatever. I felt like Vrabel was thinking oh my God, he was listening to the conversation I was having in the booth. And all I could think was, dude, I was just reading on the Washington Commanders. I didn't hear a word of what you said, if it was anything worried about that. But yeah, in the press conferences, we used to push each other pretty hard. Yeah. But with Vrabel, here's the thing. If you just yuck it up with him and laugh, he's going to hate you. And if you push back on him, he's going to hate you. And you asked if there was one thing that I should tell you guys about Vrabel. You covered the team when he was on it, right?
Oh, yeah. As a player.
I bet he liked you.
I had a good rapport with him, absolutely.
You will not have a good relationship with him as the coach. He will hate you. He will hate you. He will hate the show.
I could have told you that.
He will listen to this program every single day. He will go into his car. He will light up a Marlboro Light, and he will listen.
He's not joking about this, Mike.
So he rips
butts. Man.
Oh, yeah.
Still smokes, huh?
Oh, yeah. He will roll up into whatever the nice little kind of
dunks.
Yeah, no. like a little pubby kind of sports bar. He'll roll up into that, and people will be like, "Yeah, hear what Felger said about you on the show," and he's gonna just sit there and be like, I hate that guy, and he will truly mean it. He will hate this show.
I'm looking forward to it.
Because the stuff I've noticed, the stuff that gets discussed on this program ends up like out there. And that's the stuff he hates the most. So congratulations, guys. You guys will enjoy this.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. Jared, that was tremendous.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Mazz here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.